we've asked about Chase before, but how much do you think the improvement you guys have had as a defense correlates directly with his return?
Some of it, for sure. I think our pass rush has definitely improved with him coming back, and I think our third down defense has really improved as a result of that. And then I think that, everybody's just benefiting from, a premium player coming back, and what that does for everybody in the run defense and in the pass defense. So I think the DBs can do their job better because there's just more, total pass rush. You put all that together, and I just think, it's been noticeable. And I think his improvement as a player has also been noticeable, which I think has helped everybody out.
I'm curious from a coach's perspective of, when Chase was coming out of the draft, a lot of people labeled him as generational. When you review scouting prospects, do you ever use that term, and do you actively try to avoid it? What does it do for a guy if he is labeled that? Specifically.
Yeah, I think that those types of words get thrown out far too regularly. It's definitely not fair to many. Nearly impossible to live up to something like that. I think everybody held Chase in the highest regard, and everyone felt like he was going to be a premium player in the league. But generational, that's a tough tag to live for anybody to live up to. So I feel like. He got off to such a good start in his pro career, being defensive or the rookie of the year. And then, then you go through a couple of seasons where the NFL adversity hits you in one shape or another, in terms of injuries and your team. You lose a coach, you get traded. But he's accomplished quite a bit, and I think he's hung tough, and I think he's improved, and I think that's the sign of a competitor. And he's accomplished a lot. He's played in a Super Bowl. He led this team in sacks last year. He's having a heck of a year this year for us, and he just needs to stay on track. He's only 26 years old, and he and I have had this conversation as well. His best is in front of him. He's just got to keep, competing hard, believing in himself to get there. So we're happy we have him.
Did his get up elite? It seems like you watch him, you almost think he's offsides because he gets off the line so quickly.
We wish he wouldn't go offsides, guys.
So is that part of his game? Kind of just how is he so fast getting off the line? Is he this time snap?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time, talking about snap indicators and shot clock and quarterback mannerisms, motion mannerisms, using different tells so that you can, get a jump. It's one of the best advantages you have as a defensive player is if you can win, at the line of scrimmage. So he's a much better player when he has consistent takeoff. Sometimes that doesn't happen all the time for him in the run game, and that's what we've worked really hard at is trying to get his run and pass get off to match each other, because that's when he's at his best. So we've worked hard at that with him, and he's improved. He's improving in the run game, which is where our main focus has been on. And then with his pass rush, we've been working at the top of the rush, making sure that he cleans his rush up and that he finishes on the quarterback. And I think he's done a great job of that this year of improving. Jay Rodgers has been fantastic coaching him.
In terms of the get off, between pass and run, what makes it different? As opposed to
Yeah, anytime it's a mixed down play where it could be either or, it's going to be a different get off than when it's a pass for sure, on a third down and whatever, 5, 6, 7 plus. So, again, the more consistency that he has in his, first and second down get off, mixed down get off, it's going to create more plays for him, run and pass, on those early downs. And again, those little things, Nick, we've really tried to emphasize with him because he is a sponge. He really wants to learn, and we've just tried to hold him to that high standard, which he's capable of, and he's improving in that way, becoming an all-around player.
How has the conversation been? How has the conversation been when it comes to he's only 26 years old, despite having to play on a few teams already, and having to overcome some injuries? How do you approach that dialogue when it comes to, you're only 26, you have so much ahead of you?
Yeah, I mean, we just talk about the facts of his tape. I think that's what we've tried to focus on is the reality of what your tape says. He's been very open to that. We've tried to use our past experience coaching other guys to his benefit. Also making sure that he knows where his strengths lie as a player and really trying to maximize those. And then those parts of his game that we feel like we can improve. Just making sure that that's always at the front of, our teaching. And, Chase has been very open, and he's been a pleasure to coach. He holds himself to a high standard. He's been fun to coach that way. And again, the best is in front of him. But, I think as I mentioned earlier, we've seen real progress in his game this year, and he's definitely made a difference on our defense.
How do you clean up the top of the rush?
Yeah, just, you can win at the top of the rush, but in order to finish, there's things with your hands to just clean that up one more time to get that guy's hands off you. And there's a lot of different, hand techniques that we try to emphasize. But it's just that little bit extra cleanup will get you the difference between a sack and a pressure. And what we've tried to do with him is try to turn those pressures, which he's had plenty of those over his career, turn those pressures into sacks.
What do you attribute Samuel's short yardage successes to? Open one stops this year, one field once, 50%.
Yeah.
Is it kind of dirty work by guys like Gottschalk, Bullard, or
For sure. Yeah, I think the first thing is making sure that you have the right mindset, the people that have the appetite for that type of down and distance, guys that are going to play a rugged and tough physical down at the point of attack. And then you need contact players in the second and third level. It's not just the D-line. It's going to be the second and third level that really has to pack a punch. I think you've seen it this year with DBs in that situation who have been, quality tacklers for us. When you have a middle linebacker, Demario, who's as physical of a contact middle linebacker as anybody, that certainly helps. And then, we practice it a lot. We practice a lot of those high leverage situations. We scout it heavily and really try to pour into it because, I think I mentioned this before. Anytime you get into one of those D&Ds, whether it's a 3rd or 4th and 1 or it's like on the goal line, big things are at stake. So we try to cover it well, try to have a good plan for it, and then let the guys go try and execute it.
And, analytically, those downs are huge, even though they're in the offense's favor.
Yeah.
If you're getting off the field on those, it's taking away scoring opportunity.
Big time. Yeah, you look at the win probability after knocking one of those downs. It totally changes the complexion of the football game, and I think that we've been able to do a good job of that this year. And we just need to stay the course because, as you mentioned, they're not easy downs, and you're just one game away of feeling different.
How has Quincy Riley really grown to stepping up to the secondary this year?
I think he's improved his technique quite a bit. I think he's a lot more sure of himself that way. He's always been a very instinctive player. He's got the ball skills that you covet, but I think just understanding the techniques that we play for and then understanding how to apply that to a matchup, whether that's a specific player or a scheme. He's really grown. He's into football. He works at it. He's very coachable, and he's got real mental toughness. I think you saw it on display against Carolina. He was in very good position on that double move. Very good position. Just a little thing at the top of that route, the finish that I think would have helped him break up that pass, but it didn't affect him. It didn't impact him, for the rest of the game. He was able to put that one behind him and then, made a huge open field tackle on that game kind of drive that we were able to get the ball back to the offense and, had some other quality coverage snaps. So he just needs to stay the course. There's a ton of football in front of him, and each week is going to be a big opportunity for him to learn and gain more confidence. But I think he played well last week for us.
What do you think it is that allows Demario to keep playing at such a high level of 36, 37? Is it physical ability still? Is it mental, blend of both? Where do you kind of fall on?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's those two things like you said, but I think it's just a love for the game that's really rare. And then just the ability to keep himself well, keep himself healthy. His durability is remarkable. You don't see inside linebackers that play this many games in a row and have this type of impact. And I think I talked to you guys, I think when you get a little bit older, your contact appetite changes because you've been through so many of these car crashes, and I mean, he's still hitting as hard as he ever has, you know. He's still being able to bring that contact element to playing middle linebacker. And then I just think, you know, the game is so slow for him right now mentally. I mean, the game is so easy for him. He's so ahead of the play. You know, that's allowing him, I think, to make even more plays and keep being a consistent difference maker for us. And you guys all know the intangibles that he has too. There is the, I think, the divine nature that he has too, coming from a higher place than us. But you know, he just continues to play that position as well as anybody that I'm watching.
This way he sees the game, like, does that translate in the room? Like, some people are just really smart and they can communicate it. Like, does he become an asset to everybody else?
Yeah, I think Demario would tell you when he first got into this league, he wasn't seeing the game like he is now. That wasn't, I think, what his label was, you know. And I think he really discovered his rhythm once he got here, maybe a little bit before then. But then, you know, ever since then, he's just has this sensational study habits, you know, sensational. And I think what that allows him to do is really see the matrix, see the game before it happens. And I think that rubs off on everybody because I don't think the game was easy for him. I think he had to earn his way there. And then over time, you know, he found a routine where, hey, now I can be ahead of these quarterbacks. And he tells the story to me. He's told it to me. He's told it to others where he was going against Brady way back in the day. And he just felt really behind, felt like he was behind it the whole game. And he never wanted to feel like that again. And so that really changed his approach to the game. And then, you know, since then, I think the rest is history in terms of him as a player, because ever since then, he's been one of the top players at that position.
So you on this offseason, just kind of a lot of the players you added on defense were kind of responding to defense. Is that philosophy shifted in your time in the league where you kind of seen teams build from inside out? This way, or making sure that it's solid before you can address the
big engines. Yeah, great observation. I think we were definitely mindful of that. I think our whole organization was trying to build a team inside out, just in general. But then defensively, when you're strong up the middle. You know, you're going to have a chance to play consistent football. You're going to have a chance to have control of the game. And I think that the additions that we've made and even enhancing some of the guys that were already here, it's paid off, you know, in terms of us being able to play consistent football and give us, you know, a good chance to win.
Pretty much 3 games without Justin Reed. What has been your kind of review of the back end, just filling in?
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like our safeties have given us really quality play since he's been out. I think Jordan, Jonas, and Terrell have all played winning football for us. I thought Jonas played probably his best game this past game. I was very, very pleased with how he played. And then, you know, Jordan has played, you know, a bunch of games now in a row that has played, you know, very quality football back there. And Terrell's been steady the whole way. But we're fortunate, you know, Terry's doing a great job with that group. RJ bringing those guys along, making sure that we're ready because, you know, we obviously lost Julian too. So, you know, we've lost 2 starters in this season. And, you know, to have that type of play and certainly development of a rookie player, you know, we're fortunate.